Hey everyone, welcome to the Dram Amateur Podcast, your go-to show for everything bourbon, whiskey, rum, tequila, mezcal, and beyond. I'm your host, Jason. Join me as I journey and explore the world of alcoholic spirits. Let's get started. I'm calling this season 2, so welcome to season 2 of the Dram Amateur Podcast. Man, it has been a long time since I sat down in front of this microphone, since I sat down and put things together, since I had like creative juices. It's been, I will go through what I call the seasons of life here in a little bit and talk to you a little bit about it, but let me kind of level set where we're all at. So first of all, thank you guys if you've listened before and you are back to listen to this episode, season 1 of episode 2. Season 1 of episode 2. Yeah. All right. You can tell I am in perfect podcast form. Season 2, episode 1. There we go, man. I'm in full form. And those of you who don't know me, my name's Jason. I started an Instagram account now 2 or 3 years ago. It's called Dram Amateur on Instagram. Go ahead and find me and look me up. And if you aren't following me already, please do. But back in July of last year, I think July or August of last year, I had this urge to start doing something creative. I'm not a very creative person. I don't have a whole bunch of talents that have creativity as part of it. But I thought to myself, hey, you know what? Let's start a podcast. I'll start a podcast about topics I like. Maybe I can get introduced to new people. I meet new people, opened up new opportunities for myself, share my stories, share other people's stories. That's kind of the whole point of this podcast. And fun part, I do it all unedited because you know what? I don't give a fuck. I made a promise to myself when I did this podcast, at least now for season 2, it's going to still stay the same. I mean, if this thing hits season 5, 10, 11, 15, who the hell knows, right? It may change. But I do this podcast for me, kind of my way to kind of get my creative stuff and juices out there and just kind of like talk to people about stuff and tell stories and share experiences. So I said to myself that I would do this unedited. I'm not going to go back and make a ton of edits. If I screw something up, you're going to see me in my true form. And trust me, if you go back and listen to all 20 something episodes of season 1, you will definitely see I screw plenty up. But yeah, I'm excited to be back. This podcast was put together to share and to have fun. That's why I don't put a lot of time into editing this stuff. I don't have the time available. We'll go over into that here in a minute or two about my seasons of life and kind of why I stepped away for so long. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of where I'm at, right? So this is something that I hope you guys all that are new here, right? That you listen, you enjoy. For those of you that are back and listening, you'll notice I have an intro and an outro now. Tell me how cool that is. Like, I was pretty stoked putting that together today. And for me, to be honest with you, it was something I'd want to do all in, first season. I wanted to do that. I wanted to put the time and effort into it, but I just couldn't find the time to do it. And I didn't have like the I don't know how, like the brain power to sit down and figure this stuff out. So today I was like, you know what? I want to start season 2. I want an intro. I want an outro. I want cool music to go with it. I want the whole 9 yards. So I'm like, I'm jumping in feet first today. I'm gonna put the time into doing an intro and an outro, which you guys will hear the outro here in a little bit. But yeah, now like I've got like I don't want to say an official podcast, but hell, it's better than the intro and outro I had before. So it's pretty cool though. So yeah, I mean, where have I been for the last, 2 to 8, 6 months, 7 months? That's probably what you're asking yourself. Really good question. Fair question too. To be honest with you, I think it's just life. It's funny when I was reflecting on it driving home yesterday, and that there's this phrase called seasons of life, right? And depending on where you're at in your life, you have different seasons, different things happen, different things come up, different things take your energy, your time, your focus, your passion, right? All those different things come into play. And, yeah, I think I hit one of those back in February. And I think I hit one back in like July too. So for me, a little bit about me. So I have, a very, very full-time job. I don't know how the hell to say that. I travel for work. I stay very busy for work. I have a lot of responsibility for work, at work, I should say. So there's that. And I also have 3 teenagers, and a family that I'm very active with, and have fun with. They're great kids, great family dynamic. And I think that back in February, when I had a lot of things going on at work, trying to balance work, home life, I'll be honest, anxiety, stress, right? All those factors come into play as well. And same thing with my kids, right? Wanted to make sure I focused on them. They were getting through, my two oldest were getting through their first year of freshman year in high school. My youngest one was finishing up 7th grade. They had some changes, right? And then we had summertime hit, right? So end of school year, I had more travel for work. We did things as a family. So it took up some time, obviously. And during that time, to be honest with you, I didn't have the passion or the energy to sit down and record a podcast. I spent a lot of time with family, friends, and hanging out and just doing stuff, and that didn't take my energy. If you follow me on Instagram too, you've probably noticed a slowdown in the amount that I post, right? I don't post as much on Instagram anymore. Maybe once or twice a week, maybe a little bit more. Still very active, right? When I get a chance to jump on and interact with everybody. But yeah, it's definitely different than it was in the past. And I think a lot of that, again, is just because everything in life comes, right? And you put your focus and your energy where it needs to go, and something has to give, right? You can't, in my eyes, you can't do everything. You can either do everything at 5% and then you give nobody anything, or you focus your energy and effort where it needs to go. So right now is a great time for me. Summer's ending. Kids are back in school. Work is pretty good. I got it figured out. I've been really busy with it, but I got it figured out. I got it under control. And I got some creative juices. So me and my sparring partner, ChatGPT, have been kind of kicking around some ideas. I really want to start moving the guest thing forward. So that's going to take me putting myself out there and asking people if they want to be guests, preparing myself for those, having certain topics to talk about as well, and being prepared. So I think when I first started this podcast back in 2023, I think I was posting weekly. And then I moved to, I believe, a once every 2 week format, and I may have even moved to a once every one month format. I remember toward the end, around the holidays in January, February, it started there wasn't regular releases. Like I was first aiming for every Thursday, and then it was every other Thursday. And then as time kind of got on through the seasons, it changed over time. But yeah, and I mean, it might change now, right? I'm going to aim for once every 2 weeks. I don't think I'm going to get it out on the same day. I'm going to see. This is my first attempt today to put a podcast together, kind of give you guys an update about where I've been. And then, we'll go from there. ChatGPT gave me a lot of good suggestions for podcasts. To be honest with you, they're really good. What I need to do is I need to start breaking down research into bite-sized chunks, so I don't feel like it's taking up a ton of my time. So maybe 15, 30 minutes a day, do some research, put it aside, and then that helps me make a schedule and a plan for an episode in 2 weeks, right? So I think it gives me some time to do that, which, to be honest with you would be probably the smartest way to approach it. The other one too, is, I really want to start doing interviews. I need to come up with creative questions, which I believe I can do. But a lot of it too, I don't want it so rigid and structured. I just want to have a conversation. And if you have a good conversation with somebody, right, that conversation flows. I want to know about the person, about what got them into where they're at, what they're doing. Tell me about yourself, all those kind of things. But good conversation with somebody that's engaging is kind of natural flowing. And before you know it, you scheduled an hour to talk and you're 2 hours in, right? So there's definitely some, I need to have some flexibility with those conversations, I believe. So, but it'll be fun. I'm going to give this a shot again. I'm going to give it my all, and we'll see how it goes. So yeah, so that's kind of the reset of where we're at. I have no idea how long that took. I should have started a timer. I'm already behind the 8 ball, because normally I have like a little timer on my desk when I start doing these podcasts. I'm like, got a flow going. I see my time. I try to keep it under a certain time and go from there. And I'm already screwing up because I'm out of practice. But anyway, okay, you're all up to date about why the hiatus. You're all up to speed about my quote unquote seasons of life and kind of now why I'm back. And now, let's kind of talk to where I am liquor wise. So first things first, I believe that, and again, sheer honesty. I think this is your first time listening, one thing you'll always get from me is sheer honesty. I am who I am. If you don't like me, I really don't give a shit. It's your choice. But I want to be authentic, right? I want to be that kind of person that if you meet me in public, I'm the same person on a podcast as you would meeting me in public. For me, I was drinking too much. I figured out, I think that a lot of what I was struggling with on a weekly basis and daily basis and stuff like that was because I don't want to say I was drinking every night, but it was definitely getting harder and harder and harder during the week to, come home. I don't come home anymore. I work from home, dumbass. But get off of work, right? Go downstairs, cook dinner, have a few pours, right? Get dinner done, sit down, watch TV, have another couple pours. And I was finding that the next day, it's not that I was feeling bad, but I wasn't sleeping well. I'll be honest with you with that. I was definitely not sleeping well. My anxiety levels and stress were higher than they needed to be. I was worrying and anxious about nothing. I was like, I have these little voices in your head that are like, people, I'm very tough on myself. I'm my own worst critic, right? So you start putting these thoughts in your head that people are thinking this and they're not, right? So I'm hard on myself that way, and it was making harder. And I found that if I only drink, like, to be honest with you, Friday and Saturdays right about now, maybe a little bit on Thursday night occasionally, and a little bit during the day on Sunday, but I really try to stop right before dinner if I have a glass or two. I really found that if I cut back quite a bit, then it makes a big difference. So Monday nights I still go out and play cornhole with my buddies. If you listen to the previous episodes, you guys know that I like playing cornhole with my buds, and we go to the bar afterwards and have a few drinks and dinner. But nothing major. And then I really try to cut off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, and then like I said, light on Sunday, maybe Monday, and then Tuesday through Thursday, Friday again. So definitely a difference there. A big difference. And it's made a big difference, I think, in my life as well. I don't want to say that I was drinking too much or anything like that, but I will say that the amount that I was drinking was definitely impacting my daily kind of self. So I had to focus more on me and take a little bit of a step back from that. So that's probably some of the reason why the podcast took a hiatus and the Instagram got a little low, but it is what it is. But now, so a little bit even more, right? So before I left, or before my last podcast, I was starting to get more into tequila. So that still has continued. My bourbon, still really enjoy bourbon. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, but very much, for me, summertime is much more tequila and rum. Every once in a while, I'll have bourbon. I had a couple pours of Jack Daniels the other night, which was fantastic because I haven't had a Jack Daniels single barrel proof in a long time, and that was awesome. But with bourbon right now, I think where I'm at is I really know what my palate enjoys, and I what I'm trying to do now too is I'm not trying to spend money on bottles and then open a bottle and just be disappointed by it. That too many times in the bourbon world for me that happened. I'll still drink it. It's fine, right? But it's not what I was hoping for. So I was a little disappointed with, several bottles I've bought in the past. So I primarily now stick to Jack Daniel's, Wild Turkey, Old Forester, and Four Roses. Those are my favorites. Occasionally, obviously, I'll buy other bottles as well that people might give me a sample of and I really fall in love with. Or it comes highly recommended from somebody whose palate I know I'm very, very similar to mine, that we have similar tastes. So that's a lot of what I'll do. So, for example, Nerds and Burbs, if you don't follow Nerds and Burbs on Instagram, definitely give him a follow. But he was the one that introduced me to that Southern Star Paragon whiskey. And it's fantastic. It's one of my favorite ones. And I would have honestly never bought the bottle if it wasn't for him giving me a sample and having to try it. So it's those little things that would get me to buy other brands and try other brands. I know that's a little different than what a lot of people do, but that's where I'm at in my journey with bourbon right now. Like for example, this weekend I just went up to Chattanooga and went hunting, and there was a 13th Colony full proof, one of their, I think it was 120 proof bourbons, and I know it's a highly coveted bottle. The prices were right on it. It was like $85 or $90. It was good, and I passed on it. I passed on it because I just know that I don't know. I have so much as it is now. I'm trying to figure out a way to find another home for it. Or I'm going to just limit my purchases until obviously I get rid of it all. The other thing too, when I was up there too, thinking about cost wise, the new Wild Turkey Master's Keep was available in Chattanooga for $300. And I didn't buy that because it was, I don't know, I have a 10-year-old rye. I'm like, sure, it might be. I don't think it's worth $300. I don't believe that. Right. So like for me, as much as a Wild Turkey fan as I am, I didn't pull the trigger on it. It is what it is. Right. So I've been very, very picky when it comes to purchasing bourbon lately. The only newest bottles I've purchased are the Jack Daniel Barrel Proof Rye and Bourbon, two single barrel picks or store picks. Sorry. I bought a couple Old Forester barrel strengths, single barrel strengths as well. I passed this weekend when I met Nerds and Burbs on Saturday. I passed on another Jack Daniel's single barrel proof bourbon store pick, and I passed on a single barrel Four Roses. So you can kind of see where I'm at right now, right? I have so many bottles of bourbon. I'm enjoying rum and tequila a lot more right now. Love my bourbon still, but I'm exploring that a little bit more. And it's really kind of faded a little bit. So that's where I'm at with bourbon. Rum, kind of the same thing right now for me, to be honest with you. I'm not buying a lot of rum outside of the major brands. So if you think of the major brands, Appleton, Hampton, Foursquare, and I'm trying to think, there's probably another one I'm forgetting. But anyways, like those are the major brands that I'm purchasing right now. I just bought a bottle of rum. Again, thanks to Nerds and Burbs. I met him on Saturday and exchanged bottles. He found, or through a group that he's a part of, there was a single barrel pick, or a single barrel blend of different marks. I shouldn't say a single barrel blend. It really doesn't make sense. There was a blend of different marks, which are recipes in the rum world, of various Hampton marks. The youngest one was 11 years, 11 months, and it was released via Rolling Fork for I think about $130. So for me to be able to find barrels of Hampton that have been blended together, that have that age content in them, and then, selling them through an independent bottler like Rolling Fork, like that's pretty cool, pretty unique and special. It doesn't happen all the time with Hampton, one of my favorite rum distilleries. So I met him and bought that. To be honest with you, man, that between that and the new Appleton Estates that I purchased in Florida a couple months ago, the new Appleton Estate Heart Collections, that's been about it. It's been very, very slow to purchase bottles, and I'll be honest too, I have not been purchasing bottles of Foursquare. Foursquare has released the 2011. They released Covenant. They released Equipoise. Equipoise. I probably screw that up. So my apologies, dear Foursquare, if I screwed something up with that. But I have so many bottles of that. If I just keep buying bottles, I'm just going to keep collecting bottles, and they're never going to get drank and enjoyed or appreciated. So again, kind of been slowing that down as well, until I find those special releases of things that I really want. The growth has really been in tequila. I have really, really, really started to appreciate tequila a lot more. I have understood and learned the processes to make tequila. I understand a little bit more now about different types of tequila, which is really fun. So for me, very much deep dive into the tequila world, since the oversaturation from bourbon is definitely there. The tequila stuff's great. So I am a huge Blanco and Still Strength Blanco fan and a Reposado fan. Those are probably my three favorites. I keep buying bottles. For me, it's easier to do because tequila's, for me in the summertime, it's definitely tequila. And I live in Georgia, so summers are the longest. I can use a tequila to make a mixed drink. So my wife drinks margaritas. I'll drink ranch waters, which is Topo Chico, lime, and tequila. I have friends that drink tequila. Well, tequila is great to sip on its own. It's great to sip on the rocks, right? So it's really, really, really diverse in that way. You can do the same thing with whiskey and everything, but my wife doesn't drink whiskey drinks. My friends do, but when they come over, I make them whiskey drinks, right? But I'm thinking like the more time I'm spending with a spirit, but it's great. I mean, I seem to go through a lot more bottles of tequila than anything else. I definitely have my favorite brand. Siete Leguas is my favorite right now. Their Blanco's fantastic, but I have all the brands, right? If you think about it. I just bought an Ensueño Blanco, which was just released. Batch 2 is just released, so I grabbed it. I finally grabbed an Arete Still Strength or High Proof at 101. I recently purchased a Sambra Valles Ancestral. I bought a couple more Siete Leguas. I bought a Fortaleza that I was a great store owner offered to me. So I keep diving into tequila and buying different ones. I just did a blind tasting. We went over to my friend's house, my friend Troy. I went over his house back in a couple weeks ago on a Friday. No, I went over Alan's house. So Alan and Troy are my two cornhole buddies. Troy's been on the podcast before, if you go back and listen to season 1. So we did a blind tasting, which was fantastic and awesome. So we brought over like 8 bottles between Troy and I. And then what we did was each of us grabbed 4 glasses. For somebody else, we poured whatever ones we wanted. Nobody had the same ones. And then we brought them back to the table and did a blind tasting. I'll be honest with you. I think the two, Troy's and Alan's favorite one was Cascane Still Strength, which is fantastic. It's probably one of the best Blancos that there is out there. And then me, I ended up having Voland Still Strength. I had Suerte Still Strength. I had Siembra Velas High Proof. And then I had Tapatio 110. And the one that came out on top was Tapatio, man. I love Tapatio. It was great. I was floored at how good it was. So all those bangers. And I'm a big high proof. I like the Siembra Velas High Proof as well, the High Proof Blanco. So for me to have that, it was for me to pick Tapatio over all of those was a little surprised, to be honest with you, but it was cool. It was fun. We had a good time with that. And I think it just shows and if you put them side by side like that, it really, you think it's just Blanco. There's not a difference. There's a huge difference in Blanco. There's a lot that goes into it because of the age of the tequila or the age of the agave, the water source that they use, the method that they use to make it. There's a lot of things that go into making tequila. I think some of the bourbon people in the world would be pretty shocked about that, and would I think it's interesting, right? Even if you don't like tequila, that's fine. But I think the process and the history that goes into it, I think is really cool. And that's kind of one of the podcasts I want to do coming up is kind of the history of tequila, the different processes as well. The other thing I've gotten into is mezcal. Mezcal for me is a little unique right now, and I'm struggling to get into the mezcal world. I have only gotten into mezcal with one brand, and I'll explain here a little bit here in a minute why. But Cinco Sentidos is absolutely my favorite mezcal brand right now. I have 4 or 5 different bottles of it, and every single one is absolutely fantastic and unique. The problem I have with mezcal right now is I bought another bottle of mezcal, and all you taste is smoke, which is fine if that's what you're looking for, right? The thing I like about the Cinco Sentidos is there is a lot of complexity in those, right? You get the smoke flavor, you get different flavors in there, lime, citrus, pepper, some other things here, which I'll tell you in a little bit too. But it's really, really interesting what I find in those Cinco Sentidos that I have not really found in another brand. I had, when I was in Tennessee this past weekend, I tried pours of 2 other brands at a liquor store. And again, no complexity. It was just straight smoke. And that's, again, if that's fine, if that's what you're looking for, but that's not what I'm looking for. I want the diversity in a pour of mezcal. And especially since I've had it now, right? Like I'm probably drinking some of the best mezcal I've ever drank, right? And therefore I didn't start at the bottom. But man, it's fantastic, right? And I don't want to switch. I don't want to go. I want something with that complexity in it, which is really fun. That's the thing with mezcal. So I've been very nervous about buying other ones until I try them. In Chattanooga, I had the opportunity to buy Neta, Neta. There was a special bottle that one of the stores had that only had 60 bottles in the batch globally. That's pretty kick-ass, but it was also expensive. It was $300. And knowing what I know about mezcal and whether I like it or not, I was very hesitant to do that. And I found then more bottles of that brand at other stores with more higher number of bottles in the batch. But again, I haven't tried the brand. I don't know how complex it is. I don't want to just be drinking sheer smoke. So it's very, I'm very cautious jumping further into that until I try more things. So to be honest with you, my spending and buying and acquiring new bottles, I still am, but not nearly at the rate as I was like 2 or 3 years ago, or even a year and a half ago. It's very different now than it was then. I've slowed down a ton. And I'm very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very thoughtful about what I purchase. I'll do research into the brand ahead of time. So for example, if I go into a store, in a liquor store, and there's like, hey, yeah, try this. And I'm like, oh yeah, I actually like that. Like, I'm probably not buying that bottle right that day. I'll probably come home. I'll probably do research on the company, research on the brand, their methods, so on and so forth. And just know what type of product I'm buying. And that's kind of cool with the mezcals. If you ever have a chance, go look at the Cinco Sentidos Instagram page. It's pretty crazy how these mezcalitos like make the mezcal. It's really cool to see like the methods that they're doing. Like it's very old school, right? Old school methods. And it's really cool to see that. It gives you a whole new appreciation for what you're drinking. I mean, I have a couple bottles, like one of my bottles has a really good story behind it. where a husband and wife are traveling in a red pickup truck and saw this field of blue agave. And they went and talked to the owner of the farm, and they ended up buying a truck full that they could fit in the red pickup truck that they had of agave, and then came back and made mezcal with it. And it is absolutely some of the best freaking mezcal myself and my friends have ever had. Then one day I was sitting at dinner with one of my friends, and I'm flipping through my phone, and I find a mezcal made with like proteins called pechugas, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, they make mezcal with like chicken and beef and lizard and what was some of the coyote and stuff like that. And sure enough, yeah. So what happens is that they distill the mezcal, and then they do another distillate process. And in that process, they'll add fruits. They'll add nuts. They'll add protein. So I have 2 bottles. One of them is done with fruits. So like strawberries, blueberries, different kind of fruits, and then chicken. And then the other one I have, which is wild and so good. It is done with like nuts, dates, berries, and then chicken, but they poured mole over the chicken, and then they re-distill it. So all the vapors rise up through all of those things I just was telling you about. And when they distill it again, you get some of the flavors of that in the pechuga, in the mezcal. It is absolutely unbelievable how unique it is. It is absolutely unbelievable how delicious it is. The flavors on it are absolutely out of this world, and something that you would not expect to have. It's not like you're drinking like chicken noodle soup, right? It's not that strong, but the flavors are definitely there. Like you can definitely taste it. So really unique, really cool. And I think, and again, the videos of watching the people make the mezcal and seeing where they're making it, how they're making it, how it's done a lot by hand. They're not using modern machines. It's unbelievable. And it gives you a complete new appreciation for that kind of spirit and that process. And it's really freaking good to drink too. So, it's a lot of fun. So that's kind of where I'm at. I know in the past I bought a little bit of Armagnac. I've stopped buying Armagnac. I have quite a few bottles of that, and I don't think right now I'm not going to buy any more. So that's where I'm at. It's really, to be honest with you, it's tequila right now. I'm buying a lot of tequila. Mezcal and rum are kind of tied right now for the bottles that I'm buying, because I know the brands I like, and that's kind of where I'm sticking. And then bourbon's really dropped off. I got to drink a lot of the bourbon I have to find new homes for the bourbon I have that I don't want anymore. And then I pretty much know my direction where I want to stay and go. And then we'll just go from there. If I get introduced to a different bottle or a different pour through samples from somebody, or if a company, one of the big distilleries sends me a sample of something and I love it, I'll buy a bottle of it. I'm not above buying a bottle of something that I absolutely love. But what I'm not going to do is just go out and see a bottle and go, oh, that looks good. I like the bottle. I'm not going to go out and buy a bottle and go, hey, I saw this on YouTube. These people said it's fantastic. I'm not going to buy that bottle. It would be through people I trust and know, and probably only if I have a sample, to be honest with you. It's a very different world right now. It's either that or everything's way too overpriced and I'm not paying the damn money for it. One of the two. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I'm glad to be back. I definitely need to start putting some work and effort into these podcasts. I want to share some things with everybody, and some in the chat GPT, when I was sparring with it today about podcast ideas, gave me some great ideas. So I want to start to, put some stuff together and start doing podcasts. So here's step 1. So episode 1 of season 2 is pretty much complete. We will see if I start publishing once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks, once a month. I don't know when I'm going to publish, but I'll see how it goes. And I definitely want to start doing interviews. I really had fun with the interviews I did last year. I did one virtually, which I thought went pretty good with the equipment that I had. Troy came over and did one with me face to face. Those are always fun, man. I would love to have some, just having fun with that. Nerds and Burbs and I are going to definitely do one as well. Him and I have talked about it a few times. So him and I are going to do, he's a great guy. And then maybe in a while, right? Maybe I start getting a partner in crime, man. Can you imagine if I actually had like a co-host and you have to hear my voice the entire time? That'd be pretty cool too. So, but man, thanks to guys so much for listening. Many thanks to all of you that have listened before and now are listening again for this episode. I really appreciate it. Thanks for sticking with me. Right, there's something there's something to be said in life for maybe not understanding other people's situations, but supporting them through those situations. So I didn't really per se have a situation, but I definitely had a lull from February to August as far as podcasts go. And I appreciate you, right? If this thing pops into your playlist and you're like, holy shit, Dram Amateur's back, about damn time. Let's see what he's been up to. And you listen. I mean, I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Because it goes to show people's understanding that life has a lot of changes and that sometimes everything just can't be about one thing. You got to shift your focus to the things that are most important. And for me, it's my family. So, and myself, right? Those are the two things I think are most important. For you, those of you that are new here, man, thanks for listening to episode 1 of season 2. I got that right this time. Go back and listen to the other episodes. Tell me what you like, or tell me what you think. I definitely want to get feedback. Give me likes, 5-star reviews, because it doesn't only help me, it helps the algorithms. Like if people are searching for things, it definitely helps, bring me to the forefront of maybe they can start listening to this, and maybe I get my listeners up and expanding in time too. And people just like to listen to me ramble. So that'd be a positive too. So, again, thanks so much for everything. Really appreciate all of you. Here's the first step in a new journey. Let's see how it goes. Thanks, guys. Cheers. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you guys soon. See you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you for tuning into the Dram Amateur podcast. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of spirits. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. I certainly appreciate all the feedback and support. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes as we continue our exploration of bourbon, whiskey, rum, tequila, mezcal, and beyond. Cheers, and until next time, keep savoring every sip.